Hello, welcome to Point of View. Today, I'd like to talk about American and Taiwan. Now that Trump has been voted out, it's timely to talk about the Trump administration's huge arms sale to Taiwan and its legacy of missed opportunities of peaceful diplomacy in Asia. The volatile issues on the Taiwan Strait Median Line, the independence movement and the latest American arms sale to Taiwan. There was a big concern about the Trump administration escalation of animosity and instigation aiming at Taiwan's big neighbor, China. Under Biden administration, could the United States bring confidence to Asia and forbid it? For introduction, we have from Financial Times, Greater China editor, James King, and Taiwan correspondents, Catherine Hill to give some insights on, will the US and China go to war over Taiwan?
Of course, the tensions in this arena are not limited to Taiwan and China alone. The other big player is the United States. And the US position on Taiwan seems to me to be ambiguous in a way that's helped keep the peace for decades. On the one hand, it doesn't recognize Taiwan as a country, but on the other hand, it does supply weapons for Taiwan's defense that help Taiwan maintain its de facto status as an independent state. But it now looks to me, Catherine, as if this so-called strategic ambiguity is fraying a bit.
If we look back, the beauty of this ambiguous policy was that it long worked to deter China from aggression, because China couldn't be sure what Washington would do in case it attacked Taiwan. And the policy, on the other hand, worked to discourage Taiwan from political moves that could have raised tension. For example, to officially declare the independence it in fact already has. Now there's a growing debate in Washington over whether the deterrence bit of this equation still works. The People's Liberation Army has in some respects become a peer for the US military, at least in Asia and the Western Pacific. So some US lawmakers, military experts, and some China hawks are calling for Washington to make its commitment to Taiwan's defense more explicit. At the end of August, Washington declassified a set of documents that contain assurances to Taipei that its security support would continue. The US also publicly stated that it does not take a position on sovereignty over Taiwan, and it said that certain of its agreements with Beijing were premised on China taking a peaceful approach to Taiwan. That move, for some China hawks and Taiwan supporters in Washington, has worked like a dog whistle. They believe that in the light of China's more aggressive stance, all bets are off, and the US could move much further.
The other factor in all of this is the changing view within China of China's place in the world and the growing influence of the People's Liberation Army on Chinese politics. This has been a long-run thing, but certainly since Xi Jinping took over in 2012, Beijing's growing assertiveness has been very clear. According to President Xi, China has, in the last 70 years since the Communist Revolution, managed to stand up, get rich, and become strong. And now, he says, it's time for China to take its place at the center of world affairs.
There is now a realistic debate about whether China could actually win a war over Taiwan, something that had long been considered impossible. I think the single most important reason for this change is the immense progress the PLA has made in modernizing itself. If you look back, China increased defense spending by double digits for more than 20 years straight. And although that rate of growth has now slowed down, Beijing keeps outspending Taipei on the military by a factor of 15. So, at first sight, Taiwan's military is no match for China's. At the same time, China acquired a large arsenal of intermediate-range missiles with which it can hit US aircraft carriers and US military bases in the region, from Japan all the way to Guam, the US territory in the Western Pacific. Therefore, Taiwan, under growing pressure from the US, has pledged to adopt an asymmetric way of fighting. It would use many cheap, mobile and distributed weapons to make it as difficult and costly for the PLA as possible to take out its defenses. With that strategy, it could take advantage of Taiwan's geography. 2/3 of the island are mountainous, and large stretches of its coast are unsuitable for bringing an army ashore. They are either sheer cliffs or mudflats. Given that there are only a handful of beaches where an amphibious landing is possible, it would probably need to rely on other ways. One example would be trying to take out Taiwan's air defenses first and then grabbing a port or airdropping special forces in. If Beijing wanted to invade Taiwan, it has been estimated that it would need up to 1 million soldiers. And even after enough soldiers had come ashore, they would face a formidable fight to control all of Taiwan and keep it under control. Judging from how challenging that is, some defense experts believe that China has a different playbook: coercion. Instead of a full-scale invasion, the PLA could keep raising military threats and pressure on Taiwan, maybe seize an offshore island just to make its case and prove that it can, or conduct cyber attacks and add on an embargo on maritime trade until public morale is so shaken and so weakened that the government in Taipei would agree to negotiate. So the short answer is that we don't know what is going to happen.
The State Department and Pentagon are stacked with China hawks and friends of Taiwan, and there is an obvious push for normalization of arms packages, both big and small. A $500 million F-16 training and parts package was approved in April, suggesting that approval for a late February request from Taiwan for 66 F-16 fighters is forthcoming. In early June, Reuters reported a separate pending sale of $2 billion in hardware, including 108 M1A2 Abrams tanks, drawing protests from China, with a spokesman in Beijing urging the U.S. to see the high sensitivity and severe harm of arms sales to Taiwan. Drew Thompson is the visiting senior research fellow from Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, NUS said, "If China were to take Taiwan by force, I think it would be destabilizing for the region, and I think it would be harmful to China's own interest. I think it would cause capital flight. And it would cause a lack of confidence in China and China's leadership that would to really dramatic decoupling between China and the world." We have come to the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Let us know the videos you like by leaving your comments below. We have weekly videos, so be sure to hit the red subscribe button below. Bye.